seen as core factors of development. And as I understand, it was also a priority for the bank. However, the media, as a tool for rebranding Africa as a continent of opportunities, as an investable continent, often overlooked. What's the bank doing about this issue?
I think this is a domain of perception in which all of us must invest more than I've done in the past. Because there is a reality of Africa on one side and the perception of Africa on the other. We are seen as a continent of raw materials, oil, minerals. As I said yesterday, in the past it was ivory, now it is minerals and oil. This is how we are seen. It's a place you go to get oil and minerals, raw materials. It's not a place you invest. Now that perception was changing dramatically over the last 10 years. And that's why we must continue to try and improve the investment climate all the time. Because the best way to communicate when perceptions are loaded against you, it is not to say, no, 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 you are wrong. It is to prove on the ground that you are doing the right things. Because if you are doing the wrong things on the ground and you say, no, you are wrong, people will see through what you are doing. So, for me, it's not what I say, it's what I do. And I believe that the actions of Africans themselves in improving the business climate, in improving governance, that is what will change the perception. It is not what we do in terms of explaining that we are doing the right things. It's extremely important that we separate propaganda and branding and explanation. I'm not interested in saying things are okay when I know they're not. I'm more interested in saying, yes, here is a problem. This is how we're fixing it, and this is the progress we're making. And I think you guys in the media have got a big role to play.
Absolutely, absolutely. That's part of the reason why we're thinking that, well, not us as us, but the international community often sees that there's a lot of good actions that are actually done by Africans and authorities in Africa, but that are very underreported. And if you look at finance programs, economic programs on CNN or some major channels, Africa is usually not covered the way it's supposed to be covered. And there's a saying in Africa that says that, nobody can actually describe your own house better than yourself. So there's this whole idea of a possible Pan-African media group that would actually be in charge of rebranding the continent, both, economy, talking about all the opportunities that are actually happening in Lagos or South Africa or even Kenya, Addis Ababa. And at the moment, there doesn't seem to be any initiative of that nature. So is that something the bank is actually looking into, or what's the position of the bank with regards to that?
We are an institution whose mission is to invest in long-term development. And we don't want to do strategic drifting into entering the domains of other people. I believe that a conference like this, where Africans themselves are doing analysis of their own problems and proposing solutions, is the best way to handle it. Here, you have got African researchers, think tanks, diaspora, people abroad working on Africa, analyzing African issues in the open. And so we should be able to say, here the glass is half empty, here it is half full. This is what we are doing. You're not going to change the image of an Africa which has been viewed in some light for a long time. But believe me, at some point, people will wake up and see there is a change. If I look at the way India was being described 20 years ago, or China, or even Brazil, I said in my statement, as late as 10 years ago, Brazilian economy was being described by many economists as a big India, which means a combination of Belgium and India. So India, a basket case, Belgium, a developed countries, you put them together, get Brazil. Now, people are talking about Brazil in different ways. India, different ways. There are still many poor people in India and China. But they're focusing on this India, which is rising, China, which is rising, and Brazil. And I think we should concentrate on doing the right things, whether it is governance, economic management, and at some point, people will wake up and see.
Absolutely. One last question for me. Part of the reason why I was also mentioning that is that in the last couple of years that African News Network's been working on a media project for Africa, is that we also have a platform which is a database of all companies in Africa, stock markets and financial reports and stuff like that. And since we've been actually talking to a lot of people, private investors in Europe, private equity companies, there's been an amazing interest from those companies into the tool. You know, some refer to it as the Bloomberg of Africa, which we're working on. So I personally think that there's definitely room to actually communicate what the bank does on the continent, all the good projects that the bank is actually sponsoring. Communicate about all these amazing companies that are often not seen, but that are investable. Companies that have financial reports dating 10 years back and looking at growth. So it was just a little point I was trying to make, but thank you. I think I've got the answer to the question that
I want to encourage you to continue doing that, because that is exactly the best way to explain the changes taking place. When people with risky capital know they can put their money and get a return north of 30%, when in other places will get maybe 10% or less. Because it is those people who have risky capital bring to Africa. Merci infiniment. Who will explain, hey guys, this is not a place you go just for oil and minerals. It's a place you can invest in the financial sector, in services, and you can make money and make a living.
Thank you very much. Monsieur le Président, merci beaucoup.
Merci infiniment. Merci. Merci à vous.